hundreds of women, the patterns of traditional structured interviews were disrupted by the noise of a Bollywood dance party among former fighters, learning to build fiberglass fishing boats with cadres after a tsunami, sitting in the heavy silences of grieving families. Each story a plot point for mapping lives in the margins, spinning narrative threads that found each other and pulled at my own ties to violent histories. Nayaki remembers the first moment she felt the force of oppression. We were walking from school and my friend was struck by a sudden shelling. For most female fighters, full moments pile on top of each other, seeds of consciousness taking root. As an activist friend reminds me often, we are all political beings, still in formation. An intrusive, insistent violence punctures every woman's life. As it violates, dismembers, and destroys, she's expected to respond peacefully, carefully commodifying her trauma for others to rally around, the morally righteous path to political change. For more feminist-aligned thinkers, the female fighter is difficult to place. She absorbs each layer of trauma into her political thinking, not offering up a naked pain to sustain performative outrage in place of political change. She's conscious of patriarchy, but positions it carefully inside a complex project for equality. She does not reject violence in the resistance that reaffirms her right to exist. This book is a request to recalibrate, to reverse our view of the target, honing in on a violent state and the society it breeds. These structures, the ones that restrain her movement, disappear when the view of the female fighter is myopic. They must be first brought into view before they can be seen, studied, and dismantled. These are the forces that radicalize her. This is an urgent corrective to an erasure of the innate political power in every woman. Moving from 3 sites of struggle, battlefield, stage, the streets, in the first section to 3 lines of defense, first, second, third, in the second, my goal in this text is to slowly reveal the myriad of external forces that threaten the existence of the woman who eventually takes up arms. The violent advances of state soldiers and the policymakers that hold the line, the role a woman plays in her own rape, and the cultural constraints that hold her captive to trauma, the beatings at home and the guns on the streets that she will eventually fight to reclaim, each encircling her, reinforcing the other, until she makes the radical choice to break through. Radicalizing Her is rooted in the perspective of the female fighters who demand to be seen as political actors. While much has been rightly made of the surge of women in electoral politics, this text reclaims women's place in another form of political life, on the battlefield and in the streets. The erasure of the female fighter from narratives on gender and power is not only dangerous, but also anti-feminist. Looking outward from her new positioning, Nayaki slowly places each crutch on the floor and remarks, "The children, our children, should not be afraid of anyone. They should live free." As part of a lifelong project that took shape in the image of the female fighter, Radicalizing Her is open-ended, offering no recommendations, only an exploration of new landscapes of political possibility. As the next generation of activist women lines up along the borders of contested political territories, the life histories of these female fighters offer new imaginaries for thought and action, to break through and rebuild. Captured by a new context, Nayaki contemplates 3 choices: join the occupying military seeking guerrilla fighters, accept the handouts of chickens to raise, run for local political office against the active opposition of the men in her community. She looks dejected and returns to an earlier thought. I miss the movement. She switches suddenly to a choice that was entirely hers, an yrkesbud, or nom de guerre, chosen after completing 6 months of training in the jungle. I chose Taya. I thought, nobody else is Taya. It is a strong name, don't you think? She pauses and murmurs softly. Yes, I thought it was a good name for a very strong woman. Section 1. Sites of Struggle. The struggle happens in many places, in many different ways, Malathi would remind.